Hey guys, Eric here. It is the weekend. That means it's time for another AMA video, Ask Me Anything. If you would like to submit a question or a comment anonymously, that's right, you don't have to leave your name, no email, no nothing. You can leave it at the link at the top of the description box. Follow that Google form and just enter it over there. There's also a link to SpeakPipe where you can leave voicemails, but literally people aren't leaving voicemails we can use. I would really like to use a voicemail. You guys said, hey, do a voicemail thing. We'd love to leave a voicemail. Well, like, leave them. Leave me some voicemails so we can use them on the show. Anyway, we got 5 new questions and comments this week, direct from you guys. And let's go ahead and jump into them. First up, so you've said you won't debate Drinker or Nerdrotic. Okay, then debate us, the fans. I am more than happy to debate you on issues you have through your politics, your false information, okay, about Drinker, Nerdrotic, I guess Geeks and Gamers, Carano, and even your political views, which are flawed and have affected how you make your content, something which you criticize Drinker for. Name a time and place and we'll have a debate. So once again, I want to briefly just reiterate my issues with debating people like Drinker, Nerdrotic, those guys. And I don't think it would be done in good faith. I think that all the information I would provide for them to show that what they're doing is bad and harmful, they already know. So there's no reason for me to debate them from my position because what I'm presenting to them is things they're already aware of. So there would be no changing of minds or exchanging of ideas. It would be like me talking to a brick wall. That's what that would be. And they're not going to talk to me about any details about things. I've seen them on Piers Morgan. I've seen them other places. When they get confronted about their biases, they just clam up and they have nothing to say. So it really would not be that exciting, to be quite honest. As far as debating the fans, I mean, like, I guess we could. There's a debate server set up in my Discord. If you want the link to the Discord, you have to go to a live stream or come to a live stream. That's when I drop the link. I don't post it anywhere else. It's just on the live stream. So come to the live stream, get the link to the Discord, join the Discord, go into the actual channel that says debate request. If you want to debate on something, tell me what you want to talk about, who you are, if you have a channel, if you show your face on camera. If you're somebody that makes content and you can actually get on camera, we can just do it in StreamYard. I can invite you on in StreamYard. If you're someone that doesn't have a channel, you're just somebody that watches content, then we can do it on the voice channel in the debate server on Discord. So that's there. It is set up to be available if you want to use it. I don't have a problem with that. I don't see there any issue in that whatsoever. But that's why that's there. I don't see, like, as far as like the content creator guys, I don't see any incentive to push back against something they full well know is harmful, but they're making money from it. And I know you probably disagree with me on that, but that's literally the reason why. What could I say to those guys to make them change their minds about what the harm they're doing when clearly they don't care about the harm they're doing? We could at least meet there, right? Like, they know what they're doing. They're aware of what they're doing. They're not idiots. They're not ignorant. They know what they're doing. They understand the content they're putting out. So if I can't get to them, in terms of like reaching them with those kinds of appeals, then there is no debate to be had because they're not going to do it in good faith. That's why I don't see any reason to talk to those guys. I just want to be clear on that. But as far as talking to everybody else, I don't have an issue talking with anybody. If anybody wants to talk to me, join the Discord server. Don't be a dick because we got mods over there. They will kick you out. Don't be a dick. But if you want to debate something, you can go into the debate channel and tell me, this is what I want to debate. This is who I am. This is my channel. If you don't have a channel, just tell me, like, you want to join one night or whatever. We can schedule something. I don't mind doing that. I don't see any reason to like walk away from that because you guys, depending on what kind of content creator you are, I would look and see what kind of channel you have. But yeah, I don't have an issue with that. Join the Discord server and ask for a debate. That's where I do my debates at. Okay, so this is an interesting one. I don't know if this is true or not. Again, I have no way to verify any of these comments, but this says, I'm in X group DMs with these big channels. Now, I don't know which big channels we're talking about. You're talking to like Hypnotic, those guys, or you're talking like the big guys like Nerdrotic and stuff like that. I don't know which ones because there's different levels of big channels, I guess. Trust me when I say these guys' channels are dying. They're complaining every day how they are losing subs and views or dropping. Either YouTube are not promoting their channels anymore or guys like you are hurting their brands or could be both. Keep going, my friend. Well, I appreciate you chiming in. Again, I hope you're being honest. But even if you're not, I went through and did some math the other day, and I think one of my videos this week is going to be about this. I look back at like the last 30 days on 2 or 3 different channels that I hadn't talked about in a while, just to look at where their numbers were versus where they are, because you want to look at averages. That's how you determine if a channel is healthy or not, is an average and a percentage. Like individual one-to-one video comparisons don't do very much. They don't tell you a big story. But if you start looking at averages, it does tell a big story. This is what I love doing. I love sitting down and pedantically going through and looking at the numbers and doing the math and stuff like that, which I hated math in school. I hated it, but I've come to love math as I've gotten older. Not because I'm like great at it, but you know, with a computer, calculator, and all that stuff, you can figure things out. But I go through and look at the averages, and the reality is most, not all, but most of these channels are experiencing some sort of drop off. Now, this could affect other channels as well. Like it could affect my channel or other adjacent channels that are in the same pipeline. I understand that. But the point is, I think that what they're doing is harmful to the community. So if I've got to move over and do something different, I'll do something different. That's just the reality of it. But yeah, we're looking at that. Also, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with this new age verification thing. We don't have enough data yet on that. But with YouTube cracking down on like underage content creators and underage accounts, and what kind of ads they're getting and what they're capable of doing on YouTube, like with super chats and things like that. Once they start cracking down on that, that's also going to affect a lot of these channels, I believe, because they are reaching out to that young men demographic, and they're trying to get them as young as they possibly can to get in on this because they're much more impressionable. And I think YouTube is trying to do something there. I don't know how successful it will be. I really don't. And I don't necessarily agree with the way YouTube is doing it with the AI and stuff like that and determining if a channel is underage based on some algorithm thing or whatever. I don't agree with that either. I think that's the technology isn't good enough yet, in my opinion, based on what I've seen. I don't think the technology is good enough to get that right, but they're trying to do something. I do feel like this is pushing towards some bad shit though, overall. I think it's a bad thing for not just for YouTube, but for the internet as a whole. But I think it's going to be, we have to keep an eye on it. It's going to be interesting to see how it affects channels, views, and revenue and stuff like that, because they're not going to get targeted ads anymore. And that's where a lot of the money comes in, is people that are paying for targeted ads. For example, if you're getting general ads, the cost of running a general ad campaign is much cheaper than choosing to do a targeted audience campaign. Companies are willing to spend more money on targeted ads. That's why they're so lucrative. So once you take that out of the equation, the financial incentive goes away. We're going to see how many channels hold on for this and stick around for this. I did notice that there was a Diabolical Souls or Goochcast or whatever. He's one of those like low to mid-level like Chud channels or whatever. He admitted that there's a video out there. He admitted that jumping in to like pop culture, fandom, hate content did not help his channel. And he's seeing diminishing returns on it, meaning he's seeing like over time, the views are dropping off doing that kind of content. So maybe YouTube's cracking down. I'm going to keep an eye on how my channel performs as well, based on the algorithm and the overall like age demographic that tunes into the channel and stuff like that. I'm going to keep an eye on it because it is really interesting to see how that's going to affect YouTube channels overall. I think there's going to be a massive, massive decrease in revenue for a lot of channels. And I'm not just talking about like this kind of stuff. I mean, just in general, content creators that make content that goes wide ranges and ages, they're going to see like diminishing returns on that. That might even be a reason why a lot of the channels are shifting over to politics, because politics skews into an older audience usually. So that might be their way of doing it. Maybe they're like, it's the fandom thing is drying up. We're going to start talking about politics. It's an older audience. Targeted ads bring in more money. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, thank you for your comment. So the next one is, what is your take on Eric July making a video saying that hate content isn't good for business? He posted it over the weekend, I think. I saw a little bit of the video yesterday. I think I saw it on Twitter, I believe. But it made me laugh because there was a part of that video. Actually, I might react to that video. I might react to it for tomorrow. But there's a part of the video where he talks about how it's unprofessional for him to make that kind of content now that he is someone in the business. Like now that he's making, comic books and cartoons or whatever, that it was unprofessional for him to make that kind of content. My dude, how are reviews unprofessional? Explain to me how reviews are unprofessional. If you are someone who is making content, but your reviews are 100% like non-hate content reviews, like you're actually giving your opinion about something. How is that unprofessional? The only thing that would make that unprofessional is if you were being disingenuous and you were shitting on stuff for no reason, or you were making anti-gay, anti-trans, bigoted content. The only way it would be unprofessional is if you were aware that the content you were making was slop content. Because if it were above board, if it were you making content that you thought actually added up to something, it wouldn't be unprofessional, right? That wouldn't be an issue. So for me, I feel like you should know the line not to cross if something is actually unprofessional. Like you should know that. You should be aware of that. But instead, does this whole lot. Like, you know what? I'm going to talk more about it tomorrow. That will be my reaction video for tomorrow. I will react to the Eric July video because I think it says a lot about who he is as a businessman and all of this based on these videos he's made. Because it's a lot of this bullshit double talk stuff. I'm going to dive more into it. Anyway, thank you for your comment here. I am going to talk more about this tomorrow. All right, here we go. This is a long one. I get that you are an LGBTQ plus advocate, which is awesome. I'm straight, but a proud ally of the community for life. My best friend is gay and my brother is gay. Okay, cool. But I think your channel would grow faster if the gay coding found all over your channel would be toned down a notch. Okay. I'm not saying at all to stop talking about the things you talk about, but hey bears on your banner, I seriously want your channel to explode, but I also don't want you to isolate your straight viewers who are 100% on board with your commentary, because when you say something like hey bears, it's obvious that a statement like that isn't for the straights who watch you. Okay, let me unpack that for a second. So one phrase on my channel that's super niche deters straight people from watching my content? That's literally the one thing. Like, if you look at my channel, there's like, what does gay coding mean? Like, I don't even understand what that, it's one thing at the top of my channel. It's on my banner along with other things. And I don't even really use it as a catchphrase anymore. It's just something I kind of left there in memory of what I did early on. And I don't really understand how that would be a deterrent. Is that like a keep out sign for straight people? Is it like no soliciting? I don't get it. Okay, anyway, let's continue. Nothing wrong with bears, by the way. I love them, but in harmony with your great idea of infiltrating the algorithm, don't you think that making the aesthetics of your channel a bit more friendly for everyone would help in this regard? I'm still not sure how it's unfriendly. I don't know. That is a friendly gesture to everyone. Like, I call viewers of my channel, like back in the day, I would say, hey bears is like an opening statement to my viewers. That was like a viewer thing. It wasn't like specifically talking about that. I mean, by that, like, this comment by design would be like if I started calling people stormtroopers. If you're not a stormtrooper, obviously you're not welcome on the channel, right? I mean, that would be that's the equivalent of what this is. It's just a fun term. Like, you're reading too far into it. I don't even take it that seriously, to be honest. Okay. This is not about shame, but about waking people up. And sometimes I feel like we need to make adjustments to do this, especially when we're talking about people who are so far gone as if they're in a cult, like viewers of the people you talk about. That doesn't mean that I have to change who I am to appeal to them. Don't you think that's isn't that like the opposite of what we want, right? I want people to accept and love everyone for all their differences. Like, that's the whole point of being welcoming. If I have to change things about myself to make myself more appealing to that audience, then I'm doing the very thing that I'm criticizing them of. If I change everything on my channel to try and get more of them to tune into my channel, then I am courting them the same way these disingenuous channels are, by doing it as a lie. Everything I do on my channel is done because I like it, because it's who I am. I'm not trying to do anything to pretend to be something that I'm not in order to get views on my channel. And I think that's something that we should all be doing. We should all be authentic. I think authenticity is really the big thing missing from a lot of those channels. All right, and you go on to say, also, you do not just talk about queer-centric content as noted in your channel description, but cover so many other issues. You certainly are not a one-note content creator. Let's take a look And what it says, I hate to do this, but let's take a look at what it says on my channel content description. Hey bears, Eric here, and welcome to the channel. So what will you get here? And this is where I'm going to go over the things that I do on my channel. I love talking about queer-centric content. That is my favorite thing to talk about. I don't get to talk about it as much as I would like to, but I do like to talk about it. Pop culture, superheroes, sci-fi, and drag queens, maybe more. I think I covered a lot of bases there. It's not it doesn't say just queer-centric content. And by the way, everything I cover from the lens of myself is through the lens of a queer-centric creator as a gay person. So even if I'm giving my opinion about something that isn't gay, it's the opinion of someone who has talked about it from the perspective of a gay man. I love to use the system against the anti-fandom by mocking their outrageous thumbnails and titles. Come correct or don't come at all. Hang out and let's fight back against the grift-driven channels. I think that's a pretty accurate description of my channel. And literally the only thing on it that you're complaining about is the Hey Bears thing, which is a tiny, tiny thing. Ultimately, I don't even think it matters anymore, right? Like I could get rid of it. It doesn't matter. I kind of like it. It's a fun thing to say. I say it in my day-to-day life. And the queer-centric content tag, which is one of 5 different things that I mention in the title. I don't know. This feels like a troll comment. I don't know if it is, but it feels like a troll comment. Let's go back to it. I feel many brain-rotted Chud-type viewers who could be converted would be immediately turned off at a glance at your channel. Don't ignore the power of first impressions and optics, because in the end, I feel these are the people who need to be reached. Again, I want to reiterate that I don't think it's ethical for me as a content creator to criticize them for doing whatever it takes for views and clout and money, right? Whatever it takes, meaning lying to your audience and changing everything about yourself, which is channels like Gary obviously have done that. We looked at Jester Bell. She's obviously done that. I don't think it's fair for me to criticize that and then do that to myself to try and increase views. Can I do things to bring more views to my channel? Yes, absolutely. But I don't think sacrificing who I am or the vibe that I want to give off on my channel, I don't think sacrificing that is the right choice if this is the reason why. Now, I have thought about updating some of the artwork and stuff on my channel, but I'm not going to reduce who I am in that artwork to try and bait people from those other outlets. Like, first of all, it doesn't work. Like, I'm not going to be able to pull anybody over by tricking them into thinking that I'm one of their guys and then come over and like wean them off of outrage content. That's not going to work. So I have to keep doing things the way I'm doing them. It's working out for me now. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. And so I appreciate your feedback. I don't know if this is disingenuous or not. I don't know, but it seems a little weird to me that you would even be upset about like the one queer thing on my channel. And even that is niche. That's even niche. Like if you look at my channel, there's not a lot of like super queer stuff. My banner is literally the only thing that reflects that anymore. I used to have more stuff here in my videos, rainbows and stuff everywhere. I used to have that stuff everywhere, and I kind of reduced it down to a more minimalistic visual for my videos, which I like. But it wasn't because I was worried about those guys like not watching my content. It wasn't. Anyway, I guess thank you. All right, our final one for today's video. Before As Heel vs. Babyface infamous pronouns video, and well before he was inducted into the club of bigoted freaks with Nerdrotic and friends, he was predominantly known for doing pretty innocuous World of Warcraft and Doctor Who related content. Yeah, I remember that. I remember when he was doing like gaming news. I was watching his channel when he was doing gaming news. At some point, he pivoted towards commentary via pop culture movies and wider video game news with the emphasis on MMORPGs. And yes, years later, after getting his feet wet with fire critiques of Blizzard Entertainment, the anti-woke hate content emerged. Yeah, it was around 2016, 2017 is when he started shifting. I've noticed similar trends with other slop tubers. Here are a few cases. Smash JT started off with, for example, top 10 list and top 5 best SNES games videos, and Demion TV doing video game lore breakdowns, and even Yellow Flash was making good faith movie and comic book reviews in addition to providing news about new releases with in the comics world with the beginning. And of course, there are cases like The Quartering and Hypnotic who have produced hate content and or hate coded content from the start, but I'm not talking about them. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is many of these guys have been around for a while. It didn't start off from the beat one with the hate. at least from the early videos they published on this platform. Do you think they were always secret bigots and they were making content at a time unreceptive to who they truly were deep down inside, but have now for the past years become emboldened by anti-woke Trump fandom and Elon Musk takeover of Twitter, which makes them all more disingenuous as they originally hid who they really were? Or is it as simple as COVID era grift with money train that prompted the shift towards hate, or something else? Would be cool if you could break down this evolution when it comes to their content. So on the showcast, we've talked about this a lot in terms of, the way they make their content, why they shifted individually and stuff. And I hate to send people off and go, hey, go look for this video instead, because I know how annoying it is to have to go and like search down tons of videos. But I think it's a combination of everything, honestly. My honest take on this is you have some people that are just awful people. They just want to make awful content. And whether they were hiding it in the beginning or not, to me, is irrelevant, because in all of these cases, the material harm is the same. And the non-material harm is also the same. Like emotional distress, things like that, the non-tangible things that they do. The end result is it leads to the same destination. So whether or not Az is doing it because it's making him money, or Hypnotic is doing it because he's just a hateful person, at the end of the day, they're on the same bus, they're going to the same concert, if that makes any sense. So even though it would be interesting to go through and sort of like break down individually, like each person's like pathway to where they are, which that could be a video series. It could honestly be a video series. Maybe I'll dip my toes in the essay world at some point and make like a long form video where I talk about this. If people are more interested in it, let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in me doing something like that, going through and breaking down like each individual person's path to the Chud world. But for me, that part, as interesting as it is, it's irrelevant to what the actual damages are. So it's just like, if I see them doing this and I see them participating in it day after day after day, I don't think so much about like the road to getting there. I think more about the destination that they're arriving at. So that's just me personally. But I will say this. I do believe that the COVID era exploded a lot of content creators and channels, and the money from that era is finally drying up, if that makes any sense. So whether or not people still feel this way, or people are willing to tune in and watch the channels or whatever, the money for this, like the gravy train for this, has sort of been drying up for the last year or so, but certainly after the election, it really has dried up significantly for most of these channels. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for all of your comments. This week I'll be doubling up on videos. You're going to get twice the amount of videos from me this week for most days, because I have a lot of backlogs of things I want to talk about and I need to get them out. So I'm going to try and do them at least double the content for like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So look forward to that. Anyway, I'm out of here. Remember, if you'd like to leave a comment or a question, please do so in the description box down below. All right, that's it. I'm out of here. Catch everyone later.